Alright, Travis Wayne Goodsell, back from the bank. So I've now got a whole bunch of other stuff to do. But the news is reporting some breaking news stories. The one that caught my attention was not that the Trump administration, in particular one guy on the Trump administration who's gay, is going over to Germany, I guess, to stop Iran from murdering homosexuals. And yeah, you'd think that would be a surprise, wouldn't you? Trump? Pro-gay? And so, in and of itself, and that's probably what you'll get on Fox News. What you won't get on Fox News is that Flynn is now being investigated again for something else, for selling or wanting to sell nuclear secrets to Iran. It's all becoming clearer now, isn't it? And if it's now finally hitting the news that Flynn wanted to sell nuclear secrets to Iran, it's already happened. They've already got it. And so now all they need is uranium, because China already gave them all the missiles. The missiles are already there, and all they need to do is attach the nuclear warhead on it. And so they need uranium now. Now, I guess Iran has uranium mines, but it, of course, immediately brought to my attention Bears Ears, Utah. See, it's not covered in the news in Utah. You have to go outside of Utah to catch the story, because Governor Gary Herbert has been covering it up. Mr. Mormon Utah boy. Mr. I hurt small animals when I was a kid Mormon boy. Mr. Anyway, that was Hatch on that other poor boy thing. And so, yes, let's go back to Bears Ears. It was a national park. And as a national park, no commercial mining, drilling, housing can be put on it. It's a national park. It's untouchable. And along comes Trump. And Utah sees an opportunity. Hey, we can overturn Bears Ears and make a profit. And so they go and contact Ryan Zinke. And Zinke comes out, he tours, he takes pictures on his horse out here in Utah. Was he on a horse? I think he was on a horse too. But yeah, he tours the lands, and then he goes back, submits his proposal, and Trump overturns Bears Ears to make it commercial land. And Zinke, I think, is now gone, because he's now under investigation for 17 different investigations of criminal behavior. Anyway, and so we think, oh, well, Governor Herbert, he wanted this, you know, for Utah, because that's what he said. He wouldn't lie. Why would he lie? He's a Mormon boy. Mormons don't lie. And he was saying, no, it's not for oil. We're not going to be selling it to oil companies. Nothing to do with oil. So the Indians can feel safe. we're not gonna do oil drilling on their sacred land. And so it's okay. So the deal goes through, and an outside Utah news report goes, hey, wait a minute, there's a uranium mining that's clearing the fields out there, the land out there, to do uranium mining. Uh-oh, we almost had a power outage here. A power glitch there. Not cool. And so, yeah, you Republicans know full well about the Hillary Clinton Uranium One fraud, right? Which Shepard Smith on Fox News totally destroyed. But of course, Republicans move on and continue to believe it, even though it's false. There's nothing to it. Shepard Smith destroyed it. He did actual news on Fox News for the first time ever on Fox. And of course, Republican watchers of Fox were in an outrage. Fire Shepard Smith! Ah! And so Chris Wallace is now under the same pressure because he dared to go up against Stephen Miller, the architect of turning America into Nazi Germany. How dare he? The hatred that goes on here, guys. And you Mormons, you support this. You support destroying our Constitution. You support turning America, the land of the free and the home of the brave, into a war camp, just like Nazi Germany. And Deseret Nation, wants to put all apostates in prison, or if possible, into concentration camps until they submit and say, I will believe in the prophets of the church. Please don't hurt me and torture me anymore. So yeah, they're on Twitter. If you're not aware, they've been silent lately. Sort of have to. You don't go around threatening to murder people, threatening to force compliance to the prophets. And of course the church, silent when asked about what they want to do about DesNet. What's their official policy? Oh, we have no comment. Let them do whatever they want. So, Mormons, this is a no-win situation for you. There is no option for being God's true church. It's just not available. Everywhere you go, sorry, false. There is no place for you to go that will assure you that Brigham's church is right. You can't find it. It doesn't exist. And like a tree, if the seed is corrupt, the tree is corrupt, the fruit is corrupt. It's that simple. You cannot get good fruit from a corrupt tree. And yes, that scripture has to do with prophets from Jesus. And so I contacted Gary Herbert over the weekend when I found out, or actually yesterday, I think. Yeah, yesterday, because it was reported last night that up to 16 states are now suing Trump about this fake national emergency, where he's now golfing rather than dealing with this national emergency he claims there is. So, yeah, that's the one clue that you know it's fake, when the person who declares the emergency is not concerned about any threat. He just goes off and golfs. And so, I, of course, as an Eagle Scout who had citizenship in the community merit badge, citizenship in the nation merit badge, and citizenship in the world merit badge. I was a dutiful Eagle Scout and contacted the governor. The governor, his site has changed. You no longer get to talk to him, and it gets passed through whatever department is involved. It's now a survey. That's what they call it now. It's a survey. Thank you for participating in the survey. Governor Herbert's going into hiding now. So he's not even listening to his constituents. He doesn't care about us now. And now he's running and hiding. Mormon boy Gary Herbert is hiding. And so yeah, I said, hey, join in the lawsuit against Trump. Put your tribal party favoritism aside and join these other states. And then I reminded him about his letter that he sent to me under the old system on the internet, where I was given an official letter from, well, it was from the spokesperson, but they officially declared Gary Herbert's position on the matter. And I was told that Gary Herbert defends the family unit and is against separating families, and he has not sent the National Guard to the border. But wait, give him time. We now have Utah National Guardsmen at the border. He sent them after that. And so I reminded him of that and said, bring our boys home. Quit separating families. And then I reminded him of being a Mormon and told him to back off on the will of the Utahns, who voted for both Proposition 2 and Proposition 3, Medicaid expansion and medical marijuana, because the church interfered. And Gary Herbert is a part of it, because he has to sign the bills. And so that's probably why he's in hiding, is because of the midterms and the church interference, and everybody pissed off that the church interfered to harm those who are poor and needy, those who are sick and afflicted. I don't know if you Mormons fully understand how serious a violation the church is doing. People voted for those two propositions because there is great need. And even though the propositions wouldn't have done much in the way of helping, let alone curing, it would have been something. And the church stepped in and interfered. You don't do that when you're following Jesus Christ, when you claim that Jesus Christ personally communicates with you and directs the affairs of the church. Because that blatantly goes against what Jesus did on earth, of which the Book of Mormon says, as in the words of Jesus, to follow his example. Say, how do we follow his example? He's not around, so it must mean the New Testament stories about him on earth. And he rebelled against his church leaders to heal the sick, feed the hungry, clothe the poor. He had a counter economy, having all things in common. even though they still had to render unto Caesar. He still rebelled against the government and against the religion, who neglected the poor and the needy, the sick and the afflicted, punishing people if they dared to do so. That's Jesus' example, and the church ain't following it, which means they're lying to you, to all of us. They are not working for God. Hold on a second. It's really simple. God doesn't change to hate the poor and the needy, and to hate the sick and the afflicted. That's absurd to think that a God would actually change to hate mankind and want to destroy them through his true church. But that's what the church did by interfering in those two propositions. So Utah, Mormons, you've got a major malfunction. I can't remember the source of the movie quote. Must have been something I saw back in the 80s or 90s, I don't know when, because I don't know the movie. I could probably Google it. Should I Google it? Yeah, let's lighten the subject here, so that I don't go off the rails and start destroying my own property over the anger that the church is neglecting the poor. Because I'm going to go and talk about Ezekiel 37 or 16. Or is it 17? 16, I think. Because 17 is about the twig of the latter days. Okay. Movie quote major malfunction. Gunnery Sergeant Hartman asked the famous question to Private Pyle in Stanley Kubrick's movie Full Metal Jacket. Yeah. Alrighty. Yeah. I don't think it was Platoon was my first R-rated movie. Yeah. Because I just turned 18 and my Mormon friend took me to the movies to see Platoon. So, yeah, that was horrifying. You know, I never wanted to recruit in any military forces, especially after seeing that. So, yeah, I was living in fear during the Bushes, afraid that I was going to get drafted into the Gulf War, and then, oh man, yeah, because under Bush, everybody was talking about, oh, he's going to issue the draft and he's going to raise the age. Maybe I can come up with an excuse like bone spurs. That would just be hilarious. And so, yeah, I can't see Trump bringing up a draft, because everybody is going to rebel and say, I have bone spurs, sorry. So, okay. And I've told you guys in other videos that I was asked, because you have to be asked, you can't apply for it when you do work in the curriculum department as a church service missionary. Other mission callings you can request, but No, I don't want to do this. Get out of here. It's in Ezekiel. Old Testament. But yeah, I was in the church curriculum department, as it was called back then. Ezekiel. And let's try 16. I'm gonna have to pause. So yeah, financial problems that I've still got to get to, which is why I'm not going to get to the picture video that I was hoping for to help MD HHTHH, who was asking for it. So I'm trying to get things done as quick as possible, and running into too many obstacles. So yeah, if you haven't heard my other videos talk about it, I have had CenturyLink since 2014, and there's been no problems. Paid month after month, go to the internet, pay the bill, no problems. All of a sudden in February, it's still February, isn't it? This month, somebody with their name is wanting $175 from my account. And of course, I make sure to keep my accounts empty to prevent stuff like this from happening. And as a result, my bank had to fine me the $25. That's what it was. Is that because I didn't have the money in the account, the bank then charged me the fee of $25. And so I had to take care of that this morning. Oh look, it's Mormon Girl on TV. And so I had to get that fixed, and now I've got to go and fix everything else on the internet, and I'm gonna most likely have to change my internet service. So I have to do all the changing before I change the internet and get a new internet service, and it's gonna be a mess. So yeah, I may have to end up calling the cops, because it's less than the amount that would need to go through the FBI. And so yeah, then I'll have to contact the police on this matter to say, hey, there's a mysterious somebody who's claiming to be CenturyLink, asking for $175 and charging me exorbitant fees on my my checking account through my bank. So so yes, I'm very curious about all this Russian attention on me lately, especially when I find out that the one Russian who's been desperate to contact me is apparently a lawyer for Russia. And so yeah, of course you guys don't know about it if you're Mormon and you're Republican, because you watch Fox News and they don't talk about this. You know, the Trump Tower meeting, the woman who arranged it, she was a lawyer. And then she was interviewed and said she's a spy. So yeah, it's like you don't do business outside of Russia under Russia's name without having some kind of connection to the Russian oligarchs if they need to access you for any infiltration that you perform in other countries. So they can say all they want that, oh yeah, no, we're just independent of Russia. I'm my own person. Yeah. They lie. Just like the church. They lie. So, yeah. So Trump is trying, or is most likely, has already given Iran the nuclear plans. And they're throwing the cover, saying, I'm tough on Iran. See, we're going after them for murdering that homosexual. He gave them nuclear weapons. And who does Iran want to drop the nuke on? Jerusalem, which Trump instigated the problem by naming it for the first time ever as the capital of Israel. Yes, it was not the capital of Israel when there were kings in Jerusalem. No, they were tributary kings. Jerusalem was not the capital of Israel, as much as the Bible wants to tell you it was. And yes, that's why I want to do this brass plates translation, because I will tell you the origins of the Jews, the origin of their capital, true identity of Moses, of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph. It's all in the brass plates, which means it's all in the Egyptian documents, the source documents for the Bible. And so, why can't people just leave me alone to do my work to destroy the religions of the world? Think not that I've come to bring peace, but the sword. Alright, so yeah, Gary Herbert, traitor, the LDS Church, traitors, Utah legislator, traitors, and Mormons, traitors. You love Russia more than you love the Constitution. You'd rather support enemies to America than embrace the divinely inspired, canonized scripture of Mormonism that Jesus Christ inspired the Constitution. Mormons hate Jesus. They hate the Constitution. They hate America. That's the only reason I can see, guys. Because that's what you do. When you support Trump, you're supporting Russia. When you support separating families, that means you don't care about the family proclamation. When Nelson takes away your opportunity to go to the celestial kingdom, you say, yay, we thank thee, O God, for a prophet to guide us in these latter days. So you do not make deals with Russia and come out squeaky clean. They will not allow it. If you decide to say, hey, no, we will not comply with your extortion threats, we will not launder your money through LLC companies and then into the stock market, 32, or was it 62? I think it was 32. $32 billion. And of course, Trump passed the act, the executive order, saying that LLC companies through the internet, the businesses no longer have to report where that money comes from. Because that's what Trump is doing. Of course he wants to prevent others from seeing where he's getting his money from. And then the church follows suit. So, yeah, this is breaking news, guys. There's a connection to the church, to Governor Gary Herbert, to Bears Ears and uranium. Because everything Trump does, it means it's already been done. Everything Trump said, you know he's going to implement it if he hasn't already. So, alright. I've got a lot of stuff to do today. I totally forgot. We were going to go over why Sodom was destroyed. And it wasn't for homosexuality. No, no, no. Okay, so it's further in the passage, if I'm in the right place. Committed fornication with the Egyptians. Gifts to all whores. Filthiness poured out, idols of thine abominations. Strip your clothes, burn your houses with fire. Sister Samaria, Sodom, thy sister hath done. There we go. Behold, in 49. Behold, this was the iniquity of thy sister Sodom. Now that's not a name of a female. That's the Sodom, from the Sodom and Gomorrah of Lot and his wife turning into a pillar of salt. And then the daughters getting Lot drunk and having sex with him and having babies of Moab and Ammon. Okay. Pride. Yeah, okay, everybody has pride. Fullness of bread. Do you know what that means? That means they have good harvests. They have lots of bread. Fullness of bread. They're rich. Abundance of idleness. That's lazy. Because they had plenty of food. They didn't need to work, so they were lazy. It's not idleness in the sense of idol worshippers, which the church confuses in their footnotes, and I tried to separate them, but they wouldn't let me, because certain people said, no, they're the same. Was in her and her daughters, neither did she, and here it is, strengthen the hand of the poor and the needy. This was the iniquity of thy sister Sodom. Did not strengthen the hand of the poor and the needy. They neglected the poor, and so God destroyed them. So here we have it. We have Gary Herbert, the LDS Church, interfering with the one and only sin that God could not forgive and destroyed Sodom for. And Utah is now guilty of that exact same thing that Sodom was guilty for, and God destroyed Sodom. That's just a Bible myth. That's not really the Word of God. It's not translated correctly. Okay, yeah, you want to put your trust in that? You want to believe that? Yeah, let's forget the Book of Mormon and the Zoramites, or the Great and Abominable Church, or King Noah, and all the churches that popped up with Antichrists, the Gadian robbers, The whole Book of Mormon talks about it, Mormons. That's rule number 1 for God. Do not neglect the poor and the needy. And so the church interfered with those who have seizures and need medical marijuana. And they also are getting involved with denying Medicaid expansion. The new representative in the legislature, in the House, I guess, I've thrown away his paper, so I don't know who he is anymore. He won in the midterms. He told me in his survey that Utah has a $1 billion surplus. Surplus. That's savings. See, Utah is able to stay within budget and add to their surplus each year. They skimp on the poor and the needy. And so here they are going after Medicaid expansion and seizure medicine. And they claim to be following God. So do you honestly think that that's what Jesus wants? Jesus wants those who have seizures to suffer when they can be relieved of their suffering. What did Jesus do in the New Testament? This is a clear-cut case, Mormons. You can't apologize your way out of this. You can't make excuses. You can't defend the church. This is inexcusable because you yourselves either have, are, or know of someone who needs this help as poor and needy, sick and afflicted. There are millions of Utahns in one of those categories. If all of the Utahns who are poor, needy, sick, and afflicted were to vote about whether they wanted to be given health insurance or free health care so that they didn't have to pay for it, and that they were, jobs were forced to pay them enough so that they can live in a house, have food, have clothing, have all the basic necessities, including transportation, you know, so that they can go to McDonald's, work. McDonald's doesn't even offer full-time jobs unless you're in the manager position. But other low-cost businesses that make billions, you know, there is corruption all over the place, and the church is not stepping up to do what Jesus would have done, what Jesus did do according to the New Testament text. Because I can't say what would Jesus do, because we don't know, but we know what he did do according to the New Testament text. And if we compare what he did with what the church is doing, they're completely opposite. So, Mormons, you have to choose. Are you going to follow the example of Jesus, or are you going to support the church? I think I should make that the title. So, okay, here we go.